They should also have beards.
Yes.
Yes? Like Chinese. Millions and millions of Chinese don't have any hair on their faces. And so many other so-called yellow races, they are deprived of hair, generally speaking. So Islam couldn't have said something which God had not provided man to, provide man with. How could God make something imperative while He had not provided the man with the capacity to obey the orders of God? So, number one, Islam does not say that each man must have a beard. That is wrong. Number two, the Holy Quran never mentions, even remotely, that each man should have a beard. Thirdly, the mention of beard is found in the tradition of the Holy Prophet, and it is said, it is recommended to the sense, not well, he would not recommend, he instructed in the sense that if you keep the beard, it is good. It is a manly thing. That is why Allah has given, generally speaking, beards to men and no beards to ladies. A difference has been created by Allah in general principle. So those who do not grow beards by nature, they are automatically exempt. Those who have beards, they should keep the difference between their shape which Allah has provided them and their natural features with the features which Allah has provided to the ladies, and they should keep the distinction as given, created by nature. That is the underlying philosophy. But anyway, now you have spoken, you have mentioned the subject. I wanted to tell everybody the position of this injunction of Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam of beard in Islamic jurisprudence. Islamic jurisprudence treats various orders and injunctions in different categories. Number one, those which are called farz, imperatives. And they are imperatives of the first degree. They are mentioned in the Holy Quran, and if you defy those orders, you commit a major sin. Then in the order come wajibat. They are also imperative, but to a lesser degree, in the sense that if you commit them, the follies which you are prohibited to commit, or if you defy the orders, then you commit a sin for which you will be punished, but not to the same degree as the first one. Then comes sunnah. Sunnah is orders which Hazrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the founder of Islam, has encouraged people to do, and he himself practiced that. Now the sunnahs are also of many types. There are certain sunnahs which if you do not follow, you become a criminal. And there is a punishment or displeasure of Allah with regard to that committing of sin. But there are certain sunnahs which are just encouragements against which no mention of any displeasure of Allah has ever been declared by Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So that is, the beard falls into this category. Those who love Hazur Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and want to follow him in all detail, they would not only keep beard, they would also try to behave as he did in every situation. But that is a different question. That is a question of love and fondness. But we are not talking of that. as far as purely jurisprudence is concerned, any Muslim who does not keep a beard is never told by either the book or the Holy Prophet of Islam that he will be punished by Allah to this extent. So technically speaking, this is an order of a lower nature where you are encouraged to keep a thing, to do a thing, to practice a thing, but you are not punished if you do not. It is here where the position of beard stands. But this is also a phenomenon, as we were discussing. The decay of religion plays havoc with the whole system of religion. Even if it does not interpolate, it changes the order of preferences. In the later centuries, the mullahs, the so-called custodians of Islam, started changing the orders of preferences to a degree that the whole appearance of Islam appears to be ugly in proportion. Instead of laying stress upon the purity of heart, laying stress upon your dealing with humankind, on truth, on the fundamental values of morality, the mullahs started seeing only the beard, the apparent sign of sunnah, and laid so much stress upon the beard that anyone who was without a beard appeared to be like an infighter to them. He was condemned to death, or perhaps he was condemned to the lowest orders of hell because he had no beard. And the beard on their faces appeared to be a sign of arrogance rather than a sign of love for Huzur Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because if they had truly loved Hazrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they should have become humble. They should have treated their brothers and mankind with all humility and love. Instead, growing a beard themselves, they think now they are above everything. Now they can censure anybody, condemn anybody because he has not a beard, so that man is a devilish person who must go straight to hell because he has no beard. And they themselves commit such greater errors. They have total disregard to decency, which stands much higher in order of preferences as compared to the beards. They hurt people's feelings. They abuse and hurl abuses against leaders of religious communities which are opposed to them. And they defy so many other fundamentals of Islam that you can't even count them. Yet, every crime of theirs is hidden behind the beard. And what is on the surface is that beard which throws a challenge on everybody who have, even upon those, they are harsh, who have smaller beards. Not only on beardless faces, but then the beard is graded into large big beard and smaller and even smaller and smaller beard. So this is their attitude to Islam, and this is what they understand by Islam, the size of beard, that's all. While the Sikhs have sometimes much larger beards than these mullahs. If the beard is a sign of piety alone, then we know of some Sikhs who could not wash their beards once it was unwound. You know, they keep their beards wound up, beautifully curled. And some Sikhs are known to have grown a beard to such length that it would sweep the floor if they walked with it unbound. And I'm telling you this on authority. I have not seen such a person myself, but someone who tells the truth, who never tells lies. He told me himself that he saw a Sikh in Qadian or near Qadian, when he took bath, he used to stand on a charpai, that's the bed. And then he unwound his beard and it went flowing down below his feet. And he washed it standing on the bed because he had no choice, otherwise the beard would become muddy. You see? on the ends.